Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about Nintendo Switch, Sony, the Steam Deck, and more. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation on iOS with Egg iOS or Egg NS iOS. I'm not quite sure on what they're going with here. Anyways, there's been some more reverse engineering of this app and things got very interesting. Now, the entire write-up on everything that's been discovered so far is right up on Gitbook, and I'll leave a link in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. First and foremost, it appears that Egg 3DS is violating GPL licensing, which is absolutely no surprise. And interestingly enough, through this app you can actually download a small selection of ROMs, which arguably is pirating. It also appears that this app is using some tricks to keep it running for longer than anticipated or permanently with the two audio files here. There's also a very interesting data.zip file, and they say it contains a mostly complete app data roaming and Citra folder complete with files that must be legally obtained by users themselves. So in terms of piracy, even more eyebrows are being raised here. And there's also PS1 memory cards, and I don't know why those are in the emulator. And on top of that, there's a BIOS file in here for Neo Geo, and also a BIOS file for the PS1, which makes absolutely no sense. And on top of all of that, for some reason Egg 3DS needs to access people's contacts, but not alert them. And to add to that, there's also something here for SMS authentication. So after going through this article, I think it's fair to say that Egg NS iOS, or Egg iOS, or Egg 3DS, whatever they're calling it here, is highly questionable at best. And I mean at best. Aside from the fact that they've taken free and open source code and closed the source and locked it behind a paywall of sorts via that controller, the app itself seems to be a complete mess, and very similar to the Nintendo Switch emulator on Android, Egg NS. And speaking about Nintendo Switch emulation on Android, next up we're talking about Skyline, a Nintendo Switch emulator on Android. Anyway, Skyline Edge, the paid testing early access version of Skyline, got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, Edge version 64 is the latest version, and they say here it fixes Kirby games. I'm gonna butcher this, but I'm gonna try. Shukeheim, and maybe others. And impressively here, someone was able to get LA Noire up and running at a almost solid 30 frames per second and looking really good. A little bit jerky, but really good. Although in their defense, it says the game does not like being recorded, and I can completely understand that considering it takes extra resources on your phone. And speaking about extra resources, this one here is a little bit wild, and we're not getting political, I'm just conveying the news. It appears that Sony may have to expend a little extra resources here to get a certain senator off their back. Apparently Senator Kevin Cramer, I think that's how you pronounce their name, sent Sony Corporation a letter regarding its anti-competitive behavior and to request information on the company's acquisition agreements. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to the letter in the description below and you can check it out yourself. It's 3 pages in length, but really could just be 1 page. It's pretty fluffy. After reading through this letter, what I'm getting out of it is that the senator is basically trying to get Sony to drop the court case with Microsoft, Activision, and Blizzard. And the senator is asking for 4 different things here that I think are pretty big. All agreements that provide Sony with an exclusive right to distribute a game developed by an independent publisher. All agreements between Sony and a game publisher that prevent the publisher from distributing its games on a rival subscription or streaming service. All internal company documents describing the strategic rationale for Sony's acquisition of Bungie Incorporated. And this is also a big one, all correspondence with any U.S. federal or state government or regulatory agency relating to competition in the video gaming industry. Will Sony comply with this? I've got no idea. Will this even matter? I've got no idea. I am kind of hoping though that in some way, shape, or form Sony has to testify in front of courts and we get some more juicy moments like the out-of-touch questions versus TikTok. So I guess here just let me know your thoughts about this letter in the comments below, and does this letter even matter? Do you think it'll make a difference? Do you think it'll make any difference? And speaking about differences and acquisitions, next up we're talking about Sega and Rovio. And the Wall Street Journal reports that Sega is nearing a deal for $1 billion to purchase Rovio. Call me crazy here, but I think there's a whole bunch of things that Sega could better spend their money on than Angry Birds and Rovio. I mean, they've got a great library of games that they could just remaster and make a ton of money from, but that might be my biased opinion. And speaking about remaster, next up we're talking about The Last of Us Part 1 on PC, and arguably could already use a remaster. Anyways, patch version 1.0.3 just released and fixes a whole bunch of stuff, including stuff on the Steam Deck. At this point in time, the game is still not deck verified, and I haven't picked it up yet either. I'm kind of waiting for it to get in a much better state. If you've picked up this game, if you're playing it, if you've tried out this new patch, let me know in the comments below and let me know if it made a difference for you. Last up here, we're talking about a ROM hack. Fire Emblem, the second sourcing, just got a brand new update. Version 3.0 just dropped, and it's accumulation of about a year's worth of development efforts after version 1.0 dropped. For those who may be unaware, this is a hack of Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Fire Emblem the Binding Blade, depending on how you want to interpret it. It's a GBA game and it's very interesting. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to it in the description below and feel free to check it out. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.